Claudia Kerckhoff-Van Wijk, and I'm known as the Whitewater Woman, and that started at a very early age. Huge honor. I was nominated and made the finalists for the World Paddle Awards in the Lifetime Achievement Award. Now, the world is huge, so this is amazing honor, and perhaps why would I be even a candidate is I've been a big part of the development of our sport in Canada and in North America. But also on the international stage. I brought the sport canoe slalom, where you go through slalom gates, which is my sport, to the Pan Am Games in 2015 when Toronto's bid was secured. To me, that was just a goal. So it took me 4 years to have the very first time that our sport is in the Pan Am Games, and now I was just told they are in Lima, Peru next year, and we're in, and then after that it's also confirmed. The other part perhaps is I'm pretty enthusiastic, and my passion kind of can be addictive, and I think the best job I ever got was being an analyst for CBC Sports during 4 Olympic Games, and CBC has told me that they received so many comments of, wow, I want to start paddling whitewater because of the commentating that I was able to share to our nation. And so those are two of the things that come to mind, perhaps why I was selected for the award, and it's ongoing. It is a lifetime of sharing my passion for the sport, because being on the water and not knowing what's around the corner of a river and just paddling and listening and finding your own line is my happy spot. And I think it has opened up so much in my life that I love sharing it with thousands now. So how did I get started into this sport? Was at a really young age. My parents immigrated from Germany and right away got into the outdoor world and running rivers in a kayak. And in those days it was a folding boat. You'd arrive at the water's edge and you'd build your boat on site. It was a put together shell and then a canvas sleeve, and then we had a spray skirt that popped over top, and I was in the front and my dad or mom in the back. So very early on I was very at home on the water, loved swimming, and then I think it was about 7 when I got my own kayak, and right away got into racing, and at age 13 I think I was already Canadian champion in the women's class, so not in the junior, and continued that for 10 years, Canadian champion for 10 years. And then my parents asked me to take over managing our kayak school on the Madawaska River, because we had started another business on the Ottawa River, owl rafting, and that grew exponentially. So they went over there to help, at the time, my boyfriend start Owl, and now he's my husband. So together we have grown these two businesses, and that became then my new challenge, and I transitioned from athletic career to running the businesses. I was 10 when my parents started Madawaska Kanu Centre, and it was in 1972 that they opened the doors to the public, but only in August, because my father competed at the 1972 Olympics in Munich, Germany for Canada, and was not allowed to charge for instruction. He would have lost his amateur status. So August 1972, Madawaska Kanu Centre opened its doors, and what was I was a disinterested paddler, because all of the people in the sport around me were my parents' age, and I thought it was an old fogies sport. Well, then all of a sudden families would come, and there were some boys my age, and that sparked my interest in the sport. So I would say I helped grow through being part of the family. I loved clearing the land along the river with my own machete and climbing trees and moving things and building. And that eventually then I also paddled a lot and was very lucky. The early instructors were world champions themselves that my parents had met on the international stage and invited to help them start the school. So I had this incredible teaching mentors. So I very quickly grew in my own development, and then I was already Canadian champion at 13 years old and competed internationally for over a decade and was in the top 10 in the world and I think my best placing was bronze medal at the World Championships in the early 80s. We're a very active family, and Dirk and I are, we pinch ourselves almost daily that both our girls love what we do, and that is on the water in the summer and on snow in the winter. They both bring very unique strengths to our outdoor business. Stephanie's is the love of people and empowering people. She has I would say, a knack at making people feel really good about themselves and able to challenge themselves to the next level without really realizing that, making them feel proud. And so she is going to be our director of Madawaska Kanu Centre, where our other daughter, Katrina, has gone down the path like this group, which she has a graphic design degree and builds videos and websites. So she's right now on the other side helping us market it. And we're just in the transition of becoming really social media, online savvy with online bookings. And Katrina is working with a local company, learning herself, plus putting that personal touch into the marketing part. And so I think Dirk and I are slowly able to step back from the day-to-day operations, but still able to embrace our livelihood, which is sharing our passion with outdoor enthusiasts. The Madawaska River system is pretty unique in that there are 2 release dams before there are 5 powers producing. So any water that's released from Bark Lake Dam is still caught in Lake Kaministkeg before the next release dam, which is Palmer Rapids. And in Palmer, they are able to release for what's needed in the power stations. And my parents were able to ask how much water, and that came to 26 hours a week. And we were able to agree on 6.5 hours a day. So we get water releases from 9:30 till 4 p.m., Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then it builds up again, so the following week, the same 26 hours are available. Now with climate change, there's new stresses on the system. Mother Nature doesn't always do what we expected, and I think that's the most beautiful part of our Earth, is that we cannot predict the weather. There's one thing that humans can't control, and we try, and that's why Bark Lake is a reservoir, so it gets drained for producing power in the cold months when water is frozen. So they drain it 35 vertical feet, and that produces almost, I think, $40 million for Ontario Power Generation in the most expensive time of the season, and because water is free and it's going downstream by gravity, and it's producing clean, sustainable electricity. So they can draw at Bark Lake because there's so much snow and rain in the spring that by the May long weekend, the lake is normally full at the summer level. Once in a while, in the past 20 years, I think it's happened 3 or 4 times now, that lake is not full. And that happened in 1997, and it wasn't going to fill that season. And so the cottagers on Bark Lake were very upset that Ontario Power Generation was going to release water, and they thought for us. But no, if you think back, the water has to go downstream anyway. There's a minimum flow requirement. So there was a lot of anger, the newspapers got involved, and I ended up talking with Ministry of Natural Resources, who run the 2 dams in Algonquin Park that are before Bark Lake. And I said, is there any water that could be released to help bring Bark Lake up a little more? And the dam master at the time, Henry Checo, said, yeah, come on up, Claudia, and we'll go in and do it together. And we drove in to Victoria Lake on the Opiongo and Galeary, and together he showed me how the system works. So then the next day I called OPG and I said, did you notice a difference? And they said, yeah, where did this water come from? We're in a drought. And I said, I think OPG should speak with MNR. And that is how the Madawaska River Management Plan began. So now MNR and OPG work together, not just on the Madawaska River, but that was the first template, but on all waterways in Ontario. And this management plan that I was part of for the first 2 years, and we worked with stakeholders along the whole 240 kilometers of the river, plus MNR, plus OPG, to understand what are the needs of a waterway. And there's many. There's ducks, there's cottagers, there's fish and fish rule. If there's an increase or decrease in the fish habitat, that is part of the Fisheries and Oceans, and it's the only measurable way for waterways. And if there is increase or decrease, those are alarm bells. And they were really pleased that after this, now we've gone through, I think we're in our 12th year of this management plan, and it has helped regulate and keep, instead of regulate, it's help regulate, but also help a prediction and give a continuity to those extreme conditions. So fast track to this year, we had too much water, the extreme opposite of 1997. We had, they couldn't get rid of it enough, and they are actually asked to hold it back because downstream flooding here in Ottawa, in Gatineau, and in Montreal was out of control. So these are all rivers that flow into the Ottawa and caused, and so part of this plan helps the two huge entities that are really opposite. Ministry of Natural Resources is protecting our nature, and then OPG is trying to create power for humans. And really, they should be working together, which they are now. And this plan has won awards in Canada and is used in some countries like Norway as a template. And it all started on the Madawaska, and it all started with me calling the dam master in Algonquin Park. My best memories come almost daily to me in the summer is standing on the deck and having our kayak and canoe students come off the water, and people are glowing. And almost every day I have someone tell me, this is the best day of my life. To be able to give that gift to somebody or make it possible, it just makes me love what we do. And I look forward to every summer when I drive down River Road in April for the first time. My heart just gets so excited and the smile just lights up, and that hasn't lessened since I'm 10 years old.